An unseen force. Sleeper agents of New Phyrexia walk among the denizens of Dominaria. Old heroes and legends of the plane must settle feuds and get ancient kingdoms to focus on the greater threat. A threat only Karn is aware of. Hey everyone, I'm Simon here for the Aether Hub, bringing you more Magic the Gathering lore. Today, we continue the story of Dominaria United. In episode 1, a link to which you can find in the description below, we followed Karn as he exposed the Phyrexians, led by Sheoldred, as they're staging their invasion of Dominaria. Sadly, any evidence of this threat was lost in a cave-in, one that has trapped Karn as well, stuck, unable to move, planeswalk, or warn his friends. Before we start the video, I just want to give a shout out to those of you who have become members on the channel. Channel memberships are the best way you guys can help support our content, and without you, we just wouldn't be able to keep this up. Members get special perks on the channel, including special member exclusive content. Click the join button or follow the link in the description below to learn more about memberships on the Aether Hub, and again, thank you all so much. Now let's get into Dominaria United Chapter 2, Sand in the Hourglass, written by Langley Hyde. Karn, the artificial planeswalker with sole knowledge of the Phyrexian threat on Dominaria, lay covered by a mountain. The caves of Koilos have collapsed around him, and Sheoldred, Rona, and their Phyrexian forces fled to continue their invasion. Karn could do nothing, thanks to the hum of Phyrexian technology that interfered with his ability to planeswalk. He could only ponder, count the time as grains of sand and pebbles settled. He had no idea of knowing how much time had truly passed, or if there would even be a Dominaria left to save once he was freed. As he told no one of his expedition, there was no guarantee that he would ever again see the light of day. Luckily, this wouldn't be Karn's final resting place. The rocks above him shift, light filters down, his metallic fingers can wiggle, then his arm could flex. Then he felt a touch. Not cold and uncaring like the Phyrexians, but warm and gentle. He was found. As Karn finds the leverage to lift the final boulder from his back and stand upright, he faces his rescuer, the Leonin planeswalker, Ajani. Karn had met Ajani before, on Ravnica during the War of the Spark, but there was no way he would have happened upon his rescue by chance. Ajani admits that their shared associate, Joira, had placed a tracking spell upon the letters she had sent Karn. Though Karn never replied to the letters, whenever he shuffled through them, Joira was assured that her friend was okay. When the tracking seemed to halt, she sent Ajani to investigate, and here he was. Though Ajani admits that some time had passed during the rescue, it took months to fully remove the rubble. Time Karn felt wasted, as the Phyrexians surely must have infiltrated deeper into Dominaria society. Though Ajani inquires why he was exploring these caves in the first place, Karn hesitates to divulge anything, simply defaulting to the search for curious artifacts. After touching Sheoldred and seeing the Phyrexians' plans with his own eyes, their use of sleeper agents, Karn was unsure of who he could actually trust. Anyone could be a sleeper agent, an unwitting spy of the Phyrexians, traitors who aren't even aware of their own betrayal until it's too late. Karn does tell Ajani about the Phyrexians, of Sheoldred, of how he must convince other champions of Dominaria of the validity of this threat before it was too late. But he didn't bring up the Silex, the device he was researching, the one which could lay waste to New Phyrexia. That he would keep close to his chest, until he knew who he could trust. Together, they would go to the negotiations led by the pyromancing planeswalker Jaya and the Archmage Eternal of Dominaria, Jodah. They would need to convince these powerful figures of the Phyrexian threat, and gain as many allies as possible. They could take the Weatherlight. Ajani had with him an amulet that could summon Shana, descendant of the ship's famous captain Sisay, but for expedience sake, Karn suggests they planeswalk. Ajani leads Karn to the town in which the peace talks are going on between the nations of Benalia and Keld. The new Benalish are led by a nobleman, a descendant of the Capuchin line, Lord Aaron Capuchin. His council of Benalan knights standing proud and disciplined, clad in gleaming stained glass armor. On the other side of the talks were the Keldons, a race of tribalistic warriors, strong and brave, led by the half-elf warlord Radha. The two nations were currently fighting over lost artifacts found in the Ice Chime region, and tensions were at a fevered pitch. Jaya and Jodah were responsible for forging a ceasefire and then finalizing a peace. Jaya and Jodah are the oldest of friends. While Jaya, a powerful pyromancer and planeswalker, certainly wore those years on her face, Jodah looked like a man still in his 20s. The Archmage was a powerful wizard, and time to him had no further effect. Though cursed with a youthly visage, the mage was wise beyond his appearance, and made a powerful ally in these peace talks. Even before the negotiations began, Jaya and Jodah inquire why Ajani and Karn were here. Ajani wastes no time. The true threat to Dominaria were the Phyrexians, who Karn had seen with his own eyes. Sheoldred was preparing an attack, and this must be addressed. The sudden news sends shockwaves through each of the representatives, including a third party acting as mediators, the Argivians, led by their envoy, a man named Sten. The fear of Phyrexians still lingered in each race of Dominaria, even years after their defeat. Jaya and Jodah remain unconvinced. How could these new Phyrexians be here? Only planeswalkers could now traverse the multiverse, a fact Karn himself grappled with. As the talks diverged into chittering rumors of Phyrexian sleeper agents, they were at risk of the negotiations falling through. Karn explains his story as thoroughly as possible, detailing how he found the Phyrexian staging area, confronted Rona and Sheoldred, but admitted that he no longer knew of their location. With nothing more than a spearhead from an ancient disciple of Mishra as supporting evidence, the group was less than convinced. Though Jaya and Jodah didn't take the account as a lie, without further direction, there was nothing to act upon, and these negotiations needed to be finalized to stop needless bloodshed. The only one who seemed to truly believe Karn were the delegates from New Argive. Sten in particular had preached of the coming Phyrexian sleeper agents and knew Karn to be telling the truth. Ajani and Karn leave the negotiations. They would need to convince them some other way. Karn believes he could possibly draw out the Phyrexians with the Silex, a device he knew they would try to steal. But that was a risky gamble. Still, something needed to be done. Something dramatic. Karn later returns to the talks between the Benalish and the Keldons. They have reached a peace, but have not yet signed anything official. They're interrupted by the swirling magic signaling that another planeswalker had arrived. The blue distortion of time opened a portal as Teferi steps out. As Karn did before him, Teferi brings dire warnings of the Phyrexians. From his travels, he had heard word of the Praetors on other planes, a hawking Phyrexian on Kaldheim witnessed by Kaya, the tactical supremacy of Jin-Gitaxias on the world of Kamigawa. They could indeed traverse the multiverse. With this new revelation, Jaya and Jodah were finally ready to take this threat more seriously. While this hurts Karn's feelings as they seemingly believe Teferi out of hand, it again destabilizes the negotiations before anything's written down. People are nervous. A small view of the whole of Dominaria should the Phyrexians make their move. The Benalish and the Keldon both reconsider their pact, looking to shore up their own defenses. Even still, there's no direction for them to go in, so Teferi and Karn retreat back to their living quarters to discuss what they can do further to drum up support. Teferi informs Karn and Ajani of Tamio's fate, how a planeswalker was taken by the Phyrexians, of how they could now possibly turn one of their own. A dangerous jump in their capabilities. Karn crafts a telescope that can span great distances, hoping to use it to spot Sheoldred and give them a location. The device worked off Karn's feelings, as he tried to remember that dread he felt as he mixed thoughts with Sheoldred. Unfortunately, the Phyrexians must have prepared for such a device, as their presence was again blocked from Karn. There was only one other thing he could do, one other way to drive the Phyrexians out and finally convince Jaya, Jodah, the Kelds, and the new Benalish to join them. And with that, Karn retrieves the Silex from his storehouse and brings the powerful artifact out into the open. As Karn returns to the seaside city where the talks are taking place, the Silex in hand, he runs into the diplomat of New Argive, Sten. He approaches Karn and affirms that his people stand with him in Dominaria's defense against the Phyrexians. He had seen the signs of a pending invasion and was out looking for Phyrexian agents. He only shared this with Karn because only Karn was immune to the Phyrexian corruption, a gift given to him by the spark of his late friend Venzer when Karn was on the cusp of becoming the father of machines. Knowing Karn to be free of influence, Sten offers his allegiances, which Karn accepts, the first ally in this fight. With the Sylex in hand, Karn again returns to the peace talks, as Jaya tries to convince Karn that while she does care about the Phyrexians, these negotiations were important as well. But the time for talk was over. The people and planeswalkers of Dominaria didn't realize just how dire the situation had become, one that Karn would demonstrate to them. All throughout their travels to this poor town, Karn had noticed a small bird, a thrush, a creature of the forest with no real reason to venture this close to the sea. It had caught his attention when they first arrived, and kept popping up on windowsills and banisters during the peace talks. Again, now it had arrived, just as he unveils the Sylex, not even pretending, not even acting like a bird anymore. Karn reaches out with quick reflexes and crushed the small creature in his metal grip, shocking both Ajani and Jaya. But rather than blood, the bird lets free black ooze that twists and stiffens to tentacles, as a metallic screech echoes through the halls. Though small, the Phyrexian bird let loose acidic blood that corroded Karn's armor as he tried to crush the wiggly mass into submission. Jaya wants to burn it, but it's too close to Karn. He eventually throws the Phyrexian against the wall as the Fury traps it in a slow time bubble. Ajani jumps in and stabs it with his claws. Karn quickly crafts a solid bird cage from nothing, and they trap their first Phyrexian agent. Together, the group bring the Phyrexian to the negotiation table. Jodah is shocked. The Phyrexians were here, among them, and seeing the trapped Phyrexian, 3 Benalish soldiers begin to shake and lose their composure, very unlike their rank. Their bodies twist, with metal jaws lined with sharpened fangs protruding from once human bodies. Their massive forms slam the table, shattering it, as they encompass their former leader, Capishin. Jodah quickly conjures a powerful protective barrier, shielding the rest of the unchanged Benalish Knights from their fallen brethren. The Keldons unsheath their weapons and begin to hack at the monsters. But with each limb felled, it seemed only to spawn yet another Phyrexian. Jaya's white-hot flames seemed the perfect counter to these beasts, but there were far too many potential allies in this small room for her to let her power loose. While the new Argivians and Kelds fought these foes, a Phyrexian captured Capishin and leapt from the window down to a balcony. Karn couldn't make the jump in pursuit, so Ajani quickly and gracefully leapt after the kidnapper. Jodah pivoted his shield to protect Radha, Sten, and their warriors, before ordering them to leave the room so that Jaya could set them ablaze. They all reluctantly agree to the retreat, all save for Sten. Conjuring more magic, Jodah asks for a safe location for them to portal to. Sten instructs the mage to Argivia, a watchtower there that he had secured against the Phyrexians. A gateway opens up and everyone jumps through. Sten, Jodah, Karn, and Teferi, with Jaya going last and incinerating the entire room with white flame, killing the remaining Phyrexians before Jodah closed off the portal. Sten's watchtower was impressive, sealed away tight from outside influence, but out of the corner of Karn's eye, he peered the movement of a fallen limb, one animated by the undeath of Phyrexia. They had been compromised. A Phyrexian agent had slunk through the portal with them. With a command, Sten's tower was locked down by magic and mechanisms, fully enclosing it. Their party was also compromised. There's no way in knowing if any of them were free of Phyrexian's tainting influence. Corrupted, but didn't know it. They would have to remain here until each were proven free and unphyrexianized. Sten gave the key to unsealing the tower to Karn, the only one who was uncorruptible. They must determine who was compromised before any of them were allowed to leave. And there you have it, guys, episode 2 of Dominaria United's story. This story introduced a lot of the characters we've come to recognize as mainstay of the Dominaria sets. Planeswalkers like Jaya, as well as native figures like Jodah and Radha. Of course, with Dominaria, we get constant callbacks to old legends, such as the Capuchin family, whose most famous member helped to end the previous Phyrexian invasion on Dominaria. Now, I did a video earlier all about Phyrexian sleeper agents. You can find that linked on your screen right now or in the description below, and I really suggest that you guys go ahead and give it a watch because it gives you a lot of context on what these weapons are and how they've been used in the past. As this story has shown us, they'll again be a big part of New Phyrexia's plan to dominate Dominaria. No one is safe from this corruption, and any one of them could right now carry with them the taint of Phyrexia. Anyway guys, that's going to do it for today's video. Again, I just want to shout out the channel members who help make this content and keep the channel going. If you're interested in becoming a member and getting some awesome perks like weekly member exclusive videos, be sure to click the join button on the channel's homepage or follow the link in the description below. And you can learn all about the awesome perks that you get with becoming a member. You can also support our channel here by leaving this video a like, subscribing, and of course sharing it with your friends. It all goes a long way in helping us grow this community, guys. As always, thank you all so much for watching, and until next time, see ya!